Welcome to the Life Self-Mastery Podcast, where we bring in entrepreneurs who have created online businesses and improved their lifestyles. Here's your host, Rohit Malhotra.
Hello everyone, I'm Rohit from lifeselfmastery.com, and today I'm excited to have Dave Hanley, who's the CEO of Tomorrow, which helps families make long-term financial and legal decisions together for the first time in an easy-to-use app designed to protect their futures. He's an accomplished CEO, digital entrepreneur, and social advocate. Prior to funding Tomorrow, Dave founded Banyan Branch, a leading social media marketing agency, which was acquired by Deloitte Digital. Prior to Banyan Branch, Dave was VP of Marketing and Shelfari, which he helped grow to more than 2 million users in 18 months before it was acquired by Amazon. Dave holds an MBA from Stanford University and has done his bachelor's and master's degree in public policy from Brigham Young University. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Great to be with you, Rohit.
Awesome. So you had a long career into digital marketing. What made you start Tomorrow app?
You know, my original career was actually in international development banking. So I actually worked with banks and NGOs in Bangladesh and in India and in Latin America that were implementing microcredit lending programs back in the 90s. And then I went on to actually discover that I was super passionate about all things digital. So after Stanford, I ended up working on tech companies for 10 years. And then after selling to Deloitte, we had all these great, young people who worked at a social media agency. And after the acquisition, they're all getting married and having babies. And I saw, wow, none of these people have wills. None of them have life insurance. This is a big problem. And when I looked at the data in the US, it's a huge problem. And so I thought, I would love to take my, more financial inclusion, financial impact experience from my first career and combine it with my tech chops from my second career and see if we couldn't create a company that would have both impact and be, and tap into all things digital that I enjoy. And that's what Tomorrow is.
Oh, okay. So, what paperwork is critical to, complete for your family? Do you think, is it only insurance policies or creating a will? How do you ensure that a person, passes on the wealth and the legacy to the future generations?
There's a collection of things, and I think you're right. It does go beyond those. So a will allows there to be no chaos if anything happens to you, which may be super unlikely, but things like who's going to watch your kids and to a lesser degree, who's going to get what is super important. If you're married, the laws make it pretty easy. If you're not married, it can get pretty muddy, and the state can start deciding who's going to watch your kids. And your family ends up fighting over your belongings, and that girlfriend, boyfriend that you've had for years usually gets left in the dark. And so it is a will is a great place to start, but also things like a power of attorney is really important, which is if you're incapacitated, who's going to make your decisions for you? A healthcare directive is really great because if you can actually make all of your medical choices for yourself, even if you happen to be unconscious, and then that keeps your family from having to make tough decisions. And all of that basically makes it so that your family is going to be super grateful that you had everything together. And of course, things like life insurance and disability insurance make sure there's enough money to make sure everyone's taken care of. Got it.
And what is the general walkthrough when somebody becomes a member of Tomorrow? Is it easy to choose your guardians and trustees in order to create a will and your other financial needs?
Yeah, absolutely. Most of our users have never done this, and that's because 80% of Americans don't have a will. And so they've come in for usually a reason such as, I want to have guardians set up for my kids. You can watch a short animated video that says, what does a guardian do? And you learn what a guardian does. And then or what makes a good guardian, and then you start typing in the name of someone. So like R-O-H, and I see Rohit. I click on your name, and it pulls all of your information from my contacts into the app and says, and tees up a message I can send to you that says, hey, Rohit, I am getting my act together and creating a will. And part of that is choosing guardians for Mia and Max. And I think you'd make a great guardian. If it came down to that, would you be willing to help me out? And then that message, you gets sent to you, and then you click, learn, you see, oh, what is this? And you read, and you actually say yes, on the link on tomorrow. And then we invite you to also create your own will, because chances are you don't have one either. And then that kind of helps more and more people join. So we try and make it very easy for people to get started, easy to learn about what these handful of key decisions are. And then we actually bring your family in and friends, closest friends, into the discussion so they can know what their role is going to be if they're going to play a role in your will.
Got it. And, do you have other competitors in the same space? Because, there are other apps like Robinhood, which is basically a stock investing app. They're also getting into other areas. So, do you think your other competitors could also get into such sort of domain?
So there are already competitors in the legal world, like LegalZoom and Rocket Lawyer and others who charge you for the documents that we give away for free. And then for those that are in the, say, life insurance and other insurance financial services space, 10 right now, most of them aren't offering a free product. They're wanting you to sign up for their service. And so they're all competing with each other for the search traffic for people who are looking at starting an IRA or a 529 account, which is an education savings account in the U.S. But then they are, but they're not coming through with the will. Now, of course, people could, and there are those who have tried, but we think the way that we've designed it is unique enough that it's actually been really easy for us to sign up our first good number of users.
Okay, so interesting. You talk about Tomorrow being a free app. So what is the way to monetize your app, and how many active users do you have on your app right now?
Yeah, so Tomorrow is free. You download it. The app is free. You can make your will for free. Now, a percentage of our users buy life insurance. We're a licensed life insurance broker in all 50 states in the U.S. And so if you happen to do that, then we get paid. And then we also have a premium version of Tomorrow called Tomorrow Plus, where you get things like a revocable living trust and have access to a few more features of the app. But no strings attached. You completely get a full featured will completely for free. It takes most people 5 to 10 minutes to do.
Okay, and are you only restricting to life insurance, or are you also looking into health insurance and travel insurance, or is it?
We're looking at all sorts of things. We're really focused around family financial wellness. And so we've gone really deep in the life insurance area. But I think it's reasonable to expect that you're going to see us moving beyond that in the near future.
Got it. And I want to know, how much funding have you raised, or are you still bootstrapped for now?
We started on our own, and then we got some friends and family investment, but that was a couple of years ago. We are now venture backed, funded by Aflac, Allianz, CFSI, which is funded by JP Morgan. And then we have Mavron, we have Sinai Ventures, and others who have all come into what was a series seed round, but altogether it ended up being 8 million.
Oh, 8 million, is it? Okay. And so what is the next step for Tomorrow? Is it about acquiring customers as much as possible in US?
Absolutely. So we are deeply focused on acquiring customers. So we have our first 40,000 using the application. We're adding almost 10,000 people a month, and then we are also, continuing to improve the user experience so people are getting what they want, and then really making sure that we're that everyone who could be interested in life insurance knows what it is and understands it, and that we're answering that process. The better we do at education, the more people are, getting the policies that they need. And so it's not so much about sales as it is really around, getting people comfortable with a product that most of them have never bought before.
Got it. And just want to talk about, what are your customer acquisition channels? Are you looking at paid acquisition channels to drive more users onto your platform? How easy or difficult is it to bring people on board for such a unique concept?
So the majority of our users actually join through word of mouth or through we have a lot of content on our site, so they come and read one of our blog posts and then end up joining tomorrow. And then, but a lot of it's on the recommendation of other people. And then we do paid digital advertising. You can see our TV ad online as well which is a DRTV ad. We do a lot of radio interviews and podcasts where we have a little more time to talk about the issues than we would in another place. And those are our primary ways that we acquire people. And of course, we're constantly testing new ways to talk about what we do, new creative to get better at that.
Got it. And so you talked about, you've raised $8 million of funding. Would you want to talk about, it's a free app for now, but you want to talk about your CAC or your unit economics for that matter?
So I probably won't do that here, but we have been maniacally focused this year on our CAC, the customer acquisition costs. And so it's interesting. After we raised our round and added a fantastic board, which includes Jordan Fudge from Sinai Ventures and Caribou Honeg, who is our outside board member. He founded the InsurTech Connect conference and co-founded QED Ventures. Anyway, they really pushed us to actually focus, instead of doing CAC and LTV at the same time, so customer acquisition costs and lifetime value, they said just do CAC first, get people using the free product being successful, and then pivot. And I thought that was actually really good advice because we were planning to run things in parallel. And what happened is from April until November, our customer acquisition costs dropped by 90% for strictly advertising. And actually, our percentage of free users has gone up as well. So our blended customer acquisition costs is down almost 95%. And these are high quality users because we measure on not just did someone register, but do they download? Do they use the app? Do they create a will successfully? And so that is actually a great recommendation if you're in the digital area. Of course, we need to make money on our customers as well and get them into the paid parts of our product. But getting a high percentage of a very low number of users doesn't really help you build a business.
Got it. I want to talk about, what are some important financial conversations, families should have, before before the children go into the school season, because, if you come from an entrepreneurial background or your family's entrepreneurial, you may keep talking about money and finances, but what if, your parents are not money savvy? What are the important financial conversations which you think families should discuss with the children?
Well, as an entrepreneur, I think it's very important for your children to understand your business because it's deeply connected with your life. You also tend to work more than their friends' parents do, or you're more likely to work on a Sunday morning. And when they come up for breakfast, they see you at your computer working since 4 a.m. And so what I've done with my children is I've actually made them shareholders in all of my companies. So we have an irrevocable trust into which I place shares that are for their benefit. And that alone actually gets them deeply invested in what they're doing. Instead of just saying, hey, how was work today? They're going to say, hey, Dad, how was that call with Swiss Re today? And they're going to care about what's going on. My 9-year-old is super interested in our unit economics and wanting to make sure that our company is making more money and is moving towards being a profitable company. So that's actually a really interesting thing, which seems contrary. Now, also with my kids, when it comes to the subjects in tomorrow, I had a conversation. I was reading to my 9 and 11-year-old. I'm reading them Dune right now, which is a great read aloud book, by the way. And talking with them, and they were asking about life insurance and how's it going at work. And then they said, so Dad, do you have life insurance? And I said, oh yeah, absolutely. I told them, we have, there's a $2 million policy, which makes sure there's plenty of money for you and your siblings to not only live and, stay in the house and all that, but that there's money for, you to go to college and all these things. And they said, and my son, which is my 9-year-old, gets a big smile. He's like, oh, it's like $500,000 a piece. So you'd have to make sure that you're worth more alive than dead. But it was really interesting. When something seems like that would be such a morbid conversation, my kids, they heard that, they said, huh. And then they just went to sleep super happy, knowing there's a plan. Their aunt is going to take care of them. If it's super unlikely, but if anything happens, they're going to go to your aunt, live with your cousins. There's plenty of money to take care of you, and you're all set. And it was the most normal conversation, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, when you speak about, when you think that, such sort of a topic may not, get a positive response from your family members, but sometimes you're forced to talk about such money talks. They also understand, how important money is later on in life, and they get to have a sense of protection about it. So, my next question is, how can tomorrow help other people, in establishing, funding for college and future? Do you plan to have some sort of a savings account, built into your app, which helps people to save, what is your guidance on that?
There's a huge opportunity there. We're moving through a lot of areas around family financial wellness as we build out the complete vision of tomorrow. And absolutely, I mean, if you have a child, the most important, there's a lot of important things to do, but just starting to have regular savings for college is super important. So actually this year, I now have my kids' college fully funded. And I can tell you as a parent, it's very relieving, because also, one of them doesn't go to school for 9 more years. And so I don't have enough saved for college, but, given typical market returns, he'll be fine. But I also have a child who goes to college in 2.5 years, and which is remarkable, that has snuck up so fast. But just knowing that the kids are going to be ready. Also, as an entrepreneur, honestly, it's going to allow you to make the long-term decisions. That's just not saying oh, well, I better give up on what I want to do so that I can go and, I can go work at some corporate job and get paid 5 times what I'm paying myself. It's going to keep you having the freedoms to have the sort of work that you want to do.
Interesting. And, I want to know, the amount of money that you've raised. Are you going to expand it to other countries, or are you going to focus on US for now?
So my interests, I have definitely a very global view of the world. I'm a young global leader at the World Economic Forum, regular Davos attendee. I did my Fulbright in Bangladesh. I definitely have a global view about what we can do. In terms of our focus, you're going to see us really focus in the U.S., which actually has, if you can imagine, 51 different jurisdictions for estate planning law, 51 jurisdictions for insurance. So it was a complicated monster. Whereas moving into most other countries in the world, we wouldn't have to face such challenges. And so we're keen. The problem is very universal. A lot of countries in the world actually do not have even a culture of doing wills, and so the need of even wills as well as other things we'll do is pretty universal, and so we definitely see that opportunity. But it's really, we're using the U.S. to really hone the use case before we branch out.
Got it. And so I just want to do quickly do the top 3. What's your favorite business book?
My favorite business book, and I give it out to especially small business owners, is an old classic that I read almost 25 years ago. Is that right? Maybe a little less, 20 years ago. And it's Michael Gerber's The E-Myth. So the E-Myth, basically, you could read the whole book or just read the first couple chapters. And effectively, the model is you're either the producer, the manager, or the entrepreneur. So you're either making pies, managing pie makers, or growing your business. And so the more that you can shift out of writing code and not even managing the writing of code, but completely focus on growth and growing the business, the better off you're going to be. Now, he has methods for doing that, and I think they're good, especially with small businesses that are in that book. But I think actually just that framework that says, I need to be focused on partnerships, growth, expansion, processes, and all that, and hiring the key people, that's how you build a truly great business.
Got it. I'll put that in the show notes. And, if you could go back in time when you started Tomorrow, what is the one thing you would have focused on? I know it's been only a year now, but is there anything you would have gone back and focused on?
The viral invitation feature of Tomorrow now actually brings in 1/3 of our users. And it's something that we always envisioned because it's good for the users. It does this right. But actually in our first year, we basically stood up the initial version where you could invite people, and we never really optimized it. What's the experience? How do we teach people why it's important? And it just sort of lied fallow. Then this summer, we finished a lot of the other features, and we came back and said, let's do this right. And then very quickly, we saw the virality go up on our users. And then what's interesting is, is that anyone who comes into the app via invitation is far more likely to invite other people because it feels like a more familiar behavior. And so I would say focusing on the virality of the app first would have been, I would have spent more time on that as we launched.
Got it. And do you have any favorite online tools, for example, Gmail or Slack?
So my favorite tool is actually a to-do list piece of software called Todoist. And Todoist, it's not rocket science, but I have a backlog in my Todoist of probably over 100 things that I would like to do. But in the app, you actually, if you say I'm going to do that, I create something, I'm going to do it on Thursday, it actually disappears from my to-do list, and then it'll show up on Thursday. And so it allows me to not be overwhelmed by my massive backlog. It allows me to write down all the things I want to do and be really thoughtful about my schedule. And it actually is amazing for my own just psychological welfare to say, I did the things I meant to do today, and I know I'll have a list of things to do tomorrow.
Awesome. So, what is the best way people can reach out to you and get to know more about the Tomorrow app?
So if you're in the US, you can go to the App Store and just type in Tomorrow, and we're the number one result. We are the registered trademark of Tomorrow, if you can imagine. And then, or you can go to tomorrow.me, so tomorrow.me, and get started on the web, or read a little more about what we're doing.
All right. Thanks a lot for coming onto the show, Dave. I really appreciate talking to you.
Likewise. Thanks for the time.
Thanks for listening to the Life Self-Mastery podcast, where we teach you how to start and grow your online business. For more information, visit Rohit's blog at www.lifeselfmastery.com.